Hey everyone, Rarity here, time for another blind commentary. And today I'm going to be looking at 5 RWBY videos that came out last week. I could actually be looking at 6. There was also the Volume 4 intro that came out last week, but I'm deciding to skip that. I'll just react to the intro in the first episode. That way it's completely fresh there, and I'm surprised, and it makes a little more sense to me. I mean, I could kind of get spoiled by the intro as to some of the things they're going for, and I think it's probably just better I save it for then. But yeah, I'll be starting this video with the recap video, the story so far, which covers the first 3 volumes, and that could be interesting because it's not a very long video, so they don't have a lot of space to cover all that happened. So I'm guessing it should go by pretty quickly. And after that, it'll be the 4 World of Remnants, which, yeah, we already have 4 World of Remnant videos out for Volume 4, even though it hasn't even started yet, so they're doing something differently there. I mean, I'm guessing there's going to be more than 4 this time, so we'll see. Or maybe they just decided to release them all at once. I don't know. But yeah, there's one for each kingdom, Vale, Mistral, Atlas, and Vauco. So that should be very interesting, because we don't know too much about the kingdoms yet, I don't think. I mean, we know little things. Vale is where the story takes place so far, obviously, and we know the most about that one. But Mistral, it's where Sun and Neptune go to school, Haven and all that, and it's where RWBY and Qrow are currently going at the moment, but yeah, other than that, it's not very, it's mostly just names of places, not anything we know anything concrete about. Atlas, on the other hand, we do know a lot about, what with all the military stuff in Ironwood and whatnot. That one actually does have a lot of stuff established, but then Vauco, that's even worse than Mistral. We know nothing about that place pretty much, except that I think Sun was originally from there. And maybe some of the teams in the tournament came from there, I don't know. But yeah, it's mostly a mystery. So yeah, this should be pretty interesting. Looking forward to learning more. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, and here we go. RWBY, the story so far.
In the world of Remnant, humans were born into a hostile world populated by evil creatures known as Grimm.
Yeah?
While a magical element known only as dust has allowed them to fight back for centuries, it is no longer enough.
This is very World of Remnant-like, so kind of does fit with this video, probably.
Pushing humanity behind the walls of 4 remaining kingdoms, each with their own school designed to forge the best warriors ever known. One such school, Beacon Academy, is under the direction of the mysterious headmaster Ozpin.
You want to come to my...
Very mysterious.
More than anything.
Potential huntsmen and huntresses are assembled into combat teams of 4 and put through rigorous training, forcing the students to learn as much about themselves as each other. Together, they take their unique weapons and fighting styles and become a force greater than the sum of their parts. This brings us to Beacon's brightest new students.
Excellent work, girls!
Ruby Rose.
Today, I get to let my sweetheart do the talking.
Weiss Schnee.
Remember your training, Weiss. Right foot forward, not that forward.
Blake Belladonna.
I was raised outside the kingdoms. If you can't fight, you can't survive.
And Yang Xiaolong.
I always kick my semesters off with the yay!
Wow, they had to go with that line.
Together, these 4 girls form Team RWBY, with
I guess
Ruby
it does
Rose
sum her
serving
up
as its
well.
leader.
Yeah!
Team RWBY isn't the only combat team in Remnant, though. The world is filled with huntsmen and huntresses from all walks of life, and with a staggering variety of fighting styles and weaponry.
Qrow.
In the first 3 volumes of RWBY, our heroes are gathered together at Beacon Academy, with the hopes of one day graduating as professional huntsmen and huntresses.
Oh, imagine what it'll be like when we graduate! We're not ready, and we may never be ready. Our enemies aren't just gonna sit around and wait for graduation.
Cinder.
They're out there somewhere planning their next move, and none of us know what it is, but it's coming, whether we're ready or not.
It's a rocky start for Team RWBY. But over time, the 4 girls learn to work together and make friends with other students along the way.
But if we're going to do this,
Penny.
we're going to have to do this together.
However, our huntsmen in training also make their fair share of enemies.
Neo.
A crime wave is sweeping over the kingdom of Vale, and professional thief Roman Torchwick links them all together.
Hello, kitty cat. You miss me?
Pretty much, yeah.
A larger conspiracy is revealed, and it soon becomes apparent that dark forces are at work against the kingdoms and huntsman academies.
Salem.
And when they fail and you turn to your smaller soul, know that you send her to the same pitiful demise.
During the 3rd volume of RWBY, students from across Remnant journey to Beacon to compete in a global fighting tournament. But before a winner is declared, these same dark forces reveal themselves. By the end of the volume, our characters are thrown out into the world, some on their way to try and stop the next threat, while others venture back home to find answers to their own problems. Whatever is next for our girls, it won't be easy.
Not sure how much of a recap that was. Kind of left out a lot of important details. But, it was a decent video. I guess more a broad summary. Vale.
Well, school's definitely out. Let's see if we can't all learn a little something. Welcome to the world
So
of
we got
Remnant.
Qrow narrating.
Best place to live, but depending on where you're staying, it can get a little easier. You've got towns
Just
and
having
villages
Qrow
that
narrate
pop
it
up as
gives it an
fast as
entire
they
different
fall.
feel.
The faunas have menagerie, but the sweet spots are Vale, Mistral, Atlas, and Vauco. The 4
Menagerie,
kingdoms
that's
of
a
the
new
modern
one.
era, and each one's special.
Though it's probably been
in
mentioned
its own
before.
little way. Let's talk about Vale. In the grand scheme of things, Vale's pretty well guarded. It rests on the northeastern end of the world's largest continent, Sanus. Like most successful kingdoms, Vale's survival over the years can mostly be attributed to prime real estate. Its front is protected by steep mountains, and its back is against waters too shallow for any real threat to pop out of. Not to say I haven't heard some crazy fish stories. Aside from the main city, which the kingdom's named after, the Vale territory also extends to several neighboring cities farther along the northwest coastline, as well as a small island named Patch. Nice
Oh
place
yeah,
to
that's
raise
where
a family,
Ruby's from.
if you're into that sort of thing. Of course, all attempts
Yeah.
to extend the kingdom's reach past the mountains and farther into the mainland have been colossal failures.
Mountain Vale? Mountain Glen, I
But,
mean?
like I said, in the grand scheme of things, Vale ain't half bad. Regular climate,
Just have Vale on my
natural
mind.
barriers, and some serious border defenses means the citizens of Vale can spend less time worrying about survival and more time just living their lives. Of course, with the fall of Beacon, everyone's a little more worried these days,
I would imagine so.
and they should be.
Yeah. Very low-key video there. That could be the tone that all these go for, or... Guess we'll see. And is Qrow gonna narrate all of them? Mistral. Yeah.
Right. Where were we? The east of Sanus is Remnant's second largest landmass, Anima. That's where you'll find the kingdom of Mistral. Of the 4 kingdoms, Mistral has the most controlled territory, meaning you'll find a wider variety of ecosystems and lifestyles. Trust me, this place is something for everyone, for better or worse. The high society folks of Mistral are known worldwide for their contributions to fashion, architecture, theater, all
Cool.
the things that make the world pretty and tolerable. but its lower class has got a fame of its own. Mistral's home to the biggest black market on the planet. Need something that's hard to find? Got someone that's
sounds like a pretty interesting place.
Help, provided you've got the yen to pay for it. There's
seem to be going with a very Japanese aesthetic here.
Though, and that's their respect for nature, particularly the sea and the sky. The natural resources and geography of the area impacted Mistral's culture and technology in a big way. Its first settlers found shelter high up in the wind-carved cliffs, and as their population grew, so did their ability to utilize the land to its fullest potential. A real bunch of forward thinkers. Of course, the bigger the kingdom, the harder it is to govern. There's a reason traders and thieves flock to Mistral. The main city's right under the council's eye, sure, but places like Windpath and Kuchinashi start to get a little farther out of sight. There's plenty of places to hide in Mistral.
Cool.
That's why you gotta know where to look.
Mistral should be pretty interesting to see. And now Atlas. I'm sure this should be amusing. Lots of cracks at Ironwood's expense here, I'm guessing.
I suppose it's time we talked about the fine people at the top of the world. Atlas is Remnant's youngest and arguably most successful kingdom, but it's a bit of a special case. See, before the Great War, there was no Atlas. There was Mantle.
Yeah, that was briefly mentioned in an earlier video.
Settlers were crazy enough to venture out into the northernmost continent of Solitas. I guess when you're that desperate, a frozen hunk of rock doesn't seem like such a bad place to call home. As a matter of fact, the harsh weather conditions proved to be just as useful as the mountain ranges when it came to keeping the creatures grim at bay. But it also kept the people of Mantle from flourishing. Humanity's got a neat trick up its sleeve, though. Whenever we're faced with a problem, our inclination is to find a solution. The cold climate of Solitas forced its settlers to adapt.
Ooh.
They developed a more advanced technology, and they did it faster than the rest of the world. Because they had to survive. But it was
that
a great
explains a
war
lot.
that really kicked things off. New forms of dust application and weaponry allowed Mantle to expand. More and more territory was set aside for dust mining and research. The territory beside the kingdom's combat school, Alcius, was the most opportune area to construct a new R&D facility. But by the time things were all said and done, it would be much, much more. Alcius was reopened as Atlas after the Great War to house many of the warriors now seeking guidance in an effort to give back to the citizens. Mantle applied all sorts of new dust techniques and technologies it had used in the war to beef up the Academy's campus. The school grounds expanded faster than they could have imagined, and even helped to better secure the surrounding areas. It wasn't long before the kingdom's military moved in, then the labs, research facilities, and eventually even residential.
There he is, Ironwood.
In time, it became apparent that the city of Mantle was living in Atlas' shadow, and so the decision was made to move the kingdom's capital. Mantle was old news, and the kingdom of Atlas was born. A golden age of prosperity, they called it. But those left behind in Mantle would probably tell you that it was the coldest winter they ever knew.
Oh. Okay. And finally, the one we know the least about. Vauco. What do we got here?
Now, if there's one kingdom that's had it harder than the people of Mantle, it's Vauco, the last of the four great kingdoms. The western end of Sanus is a barren and desolate wasteland. But long ago, before man went and ruined everything, it was a paradise. In the center of the vast desert was an oasis
So
unlike
Desert
anything
Kingdom.
you'd ever seen. A jungle bursting with natural resources, geographical defenses, and the world's largest recorded deposit of dust. Nomads that survived the journey across the scorching sands settled down in this little hidden gem, and over time the kingdom of Vacuo thrived. Unfortunately, comfort breeds weakness. While the rest of Remnant had to learn and adapt in order to survive, Vacuo's ancient society kicked back and lived a life of complacency. But when other, more developed kingdoms set their eyes on everything Vacuo had to offer, its citizens couldn't do anything to stop them from taking it.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Years of human conflict, unrestricted mining, and ecological disasters have changed Vacuo. The paradise that was once there is practically indistinguishable from the surrounding deserts. Citizens live in makeshift homes, uprooting and traveling frequently in response to the fleeting resources and occasional attacks from the creatures of Grimm. After the Great War, a formal government was finally established. But by that point, the folks living in Vacuo didn't much care to uphold its laws, making Shade Academy the only real source of order in the kingdom. Order isn't everything. Vacuo may not be as prim and proper as the other three kingdoms, but it's still standing. And the people there have a mutual respect for one another. See, there's really only one unspoken rule in Vacuo. If you can survive here, then you're welcome here. So there you have it. Vale, Mistral, Atlas, and Vacuo. You know, Oz would always say that the four kingdoms were a representation of what mankind is capable of when working together. Ever the optimist. We sure could use him now.
Yeah. Definitely could. Okay. Well, that was a pretty interesting set of videos there. First one, the recap. As I said, it was really more of a broad summary than any kind of recap. I mean, we didn't even really recap the events at all. It was just more just describing what the show is all about. But that was fine. It was well made, well edited, and yeah, pretty good video. And then we got the more interesting stuff, which was the World of Remnant ones, and I think having Qrow narrate them does give them a different, more offhand sort of feel than when Ozpin or Salem does it. It was cool. They were nice and low key, and they were informative. I think I actually learned a lot from these about the kingdoms and what they're actually like. The Vale one, it didn't have a whole lot of new information, but it still had some, and the rest, though, they were very informative. Mistral sounds pretty cool, going with a real Japanese aesthetic there, and I'm looking forward to seeing that, because I know we're going to be going there in this season, probably. And Atlas learned a bit more there, and had the whole thing with Atlas and Mantle clarified, because yeah, when that was mentioned before, it was kind of glossed over and not exactly clear what that meant. But here, it made a lot more sense. They explained it, and yeah, it was good to learn. And then finally, Vacuo. All that was new information, and it was interesting. Yeah, I don't know if we'll be going to Vacuo anytime soon, but it should be pretty cool when we eventually do. Anyway, hope you liked the commentary. Let me know if you did, and see you in the next one.